skill area. So what I'm going to go over, guys, chapter 5 and chapter 6. Chapter 5, Karen talks about forming teams. You guys have heard this many times, especially the ones who did the bachelor, Adam. Forming a team. When you work in an engineering firm or electrical contractor, you work in a team. So we'll talk a few things about forming a team and what happened when you have a team that's not functioning or a team that's functioning, or how do you construct a productive team. And keep in mind, guys, the ultimate goal of any team is a successful project within budget on time. And a happy customers, internal and external. That's your ultimate goal. So that chapter 5, guys, and I can't emphasize, Derek, probably you should order that one, or Karen, or all of you guys, that book, or any other similar book. And the other thing, guys, is diversity. Didn't you guys take diversity with us at Dunwoody, right? Isn't that requirement? I believe it was or used to be a requirement, right? Did you have taken, Derek, did you guys? So you took in diversity. This is similar, guys. When you're dealing with teams, you deal with different people, different attitudes, different gender, different cultures. So how do you handle, especially when you are the project manager, Derek, people who are different than you culturally or whatever you want to know, gender, whatever, and make them productive in that particular team. So we'll talk a few things. By any means, I'm not qualified to talk about diversity in any way, shape, or form. So you guys have done a lot of them. We'll talk a few things about diversity as well as the team. Okay, so let's start, guys, with a little bit talking about the team. Teams, Adam, we work in teams. When you have a hospital or a sport arena or a Target store that you need to build at Michelle Cooley Erickson, the first thing you do is you form a team, an engineering design team, mechanical team, electrical team, if it's a mechanical, electrical engineering firms. And Derek, if you're working at Parsons Electric, when you have a project that you're going to bid on, you have a team of, if it's design build, you have a team of designers working with a team of estimators side by side so they can design and estimate the project. And then they will be working with the foreman in the field and a bunch of electricians that implementing all these work. So they are teams. So forming a team is one of the most important things, guys, that we're doing. And I cannot emphasize, you can be a part of a team. So right now, most of you guys, most likely, you are part of a team. But at one time, you will be the leader of that team. You're the guy who put this team together. So when you have a team, a few things that you have to take into consideration, guys. Number one is knowledge. When you form a team, I have 4 of you guys. If I want to put you in a team, Derek is really good with estimating. I put him with Adam, who is really good with Revit, with Karen, who is really good with CAD. So you, as a project manager, you have to look at the people in your team and assess their knowledge and put them in a team that they can complement each other. That's one of the most important things, guys, when you form a team. The team knowledge, number one, you have to know and communicate this knowledge. When I form a team from 4 of you guys, I need to, not only I know what your strong skills are, but also I have to communicate the skills to each and every one of you. So Karen know that Derek is very good with estimating, so I can lean on him if I need an estimating. That's what a good manager does. None of us, guys, is an excellent in everything. None of us. You can't. You just can't. There's so much math that you cannot be an expert in every field in our industry. So a good manager will look at the employees that they have and put them in a team based on their strength and their knowledge. And also they communicate. So that's the first thing. Assist the members of that team. One is a good in drafting. One is a good in code and design, for example. One is good in communicating, so we make this member to communicate with other teams in order to form the project. But ultimately, you need to form a team, guys, in a way that the team will be successful. So that's a knowledge. The second thing, Adam, that we do is we need to communicate. Why do we have a team? Why do we care having a team? Well, we know for us guys, it's easy because we have a team because we need to have a successful project. What is a successful project? A project that's done within budget, on time, with a happy internal and external customers. That's our goal, right? So in the back of your mind, Karen, when you're forming this team, you have to put the team in a way where it leads you to this goal, which is successful project. Skills, like I said, the second thing that you need to know is the skills, with skills of the people on the team. Communicate these skills with each other so everybody knows what everybody's strength is on this team and why they are on this team. Um, Attitude. We talked about, guys, and I hear this one over and over from contractors and everybody else is hire people with the good attitude. You need people who go-getters, good attitude. They don't have a bad attitude. It will never be done. That attitude in the team is a big deal. If you have people with bad attitude, the team will stall. It will not go along. So there's a major things. Make sure you pay a lot of attention to the attitude of the people. As a matter of fact, it's not just in the team, as an employees too. So when you communicate, when you have good people with good skills, communicate the skills with them, guys. Tell them what the team goal is. Why are you in this team? Which is easy in our industry, successful project, right? With a good attitude, go-getter. No place for complainers, guys. We have a good manager or a good employee will work within the circumstances without being enslaved. Nobody enslaves anybody anymore. But in the back of your mind, like we said yesterday, Derek, is take ownership of your project. When you take an ownership of your project, your boss will like you, your company will keep you. But the word is take ownership. Like you take ownership of your house, of your children, or anything that you own or you have. Take ownership of your project. That shows a very good attitude towards the project that you're doing. Another component, guys, of or element of a project is intimacy. Now, intimacy, Derek, you and I, especially the men, we're not going to sit there and start hugging each other, right? Intimacy. Um, Everything that we do, guys, we're human beings, we're not machines. So it's really nice to know and to care about each other. So, and I always say give a little bit of benefit of the doubt for our behavior. So, get along is a big deal. Care about each other as individuals is a big deal. And to a point, ultimately, Matt, I'm not going to solve your problems like we said about with you and your girlfriend. That's another issue. But I'm willing to learn, sit, and as a your supervisor, and listen about certain things to a certain point. So, having a good intimacy between the people, guys, and in the team, like each other, they get along. It makes these are the terms, these are the points that you have to take into consideration. Now, Derek, when you become project manager and there are two employees, each one of them have been there for 10 years, and you know they don't get along that well, but they're very good employees. So the worst thing that you're going to do is put these two on the same team if you can. So if you know they don't really get along that well, but they're very good employees when they're working separately, maybe you should put them in a different team. You know what I mean? And because we're human beings, we have chemistry that works and that doesn't work, and sometimes I don't know what you can do to change it. So that's what a good manager know. Assess the people, how they interact with each other, and try. Sometimes you don't have a choice because that's what the work that you have or the workforce that you have. So if you can, put the people who get along together or make them get along. Make activities, guys, that engage them in activities that they can know a few things about each other, about Karen and Derek. And so they can, well, the more we know about each other, have you guys noticed the more we know about each other, the more we care, right? I know that your daughter's birthday is today. I care. I like that. So, but if I don't know you, the more we know about each other, the more we care, the more we create this so-called intimacy and like each other. And ultimately, if you have a team that likes each other, you have a productive team. And that's what your goal, Derek. You are not a minister here or a priest, obviously. Our job is not that, but sometimes you get into a few humanitarian issues that make your project productive, right? Is that the ultimate goal? A productive and successful project. When you have a team, Adam, also you need something called supportive organizational climate. When you form a team, the team has needs. So when you form a team as a project manager, you and the organization have to support this team. So for example, I have a team of estimators and designers working on the project. The organization, being Parsons or Hunt or Egan, working on this project, they have to support that team, which is in our industry, guys. It's not hard. Our project is our life, right? We work, we take care of it. So the organization typically give you a support in our industry because the team that we form is a productive team. when I say all teams are productive, but you have tangible outcomes. We have a project that got built. We have a hospital that we built. That's very tangible. That's different than sitting there and talking about the education in the United States, or which is good, it's tangible, but ours is very tangible. When you work at Mashed Kuhle Erickson, when you have a team, you have a big set of blueprints and a spec that came out of it, which will be given to an electrical contractor to build a hospital. Very tangible. So it's not hard to get the support of the organization. Unlike other teams that you might form in other organizations, you might not get the full support of the organization, but in our case, it wouldn't be a big deal. Okay, so these are the things, guys: knowledge, skills, attitude, intimacy, and support of the organization skills that you have for your team. There's a few things, guys, that we have, and you have to have the balance between these. You have to have the balance between the skills, the intimacy, the knowledge, the attitude, the organizational support, in order to have a very productive team. Very productive team. I'm going to talk a few things, guys, about that. Also, they have what they call it, constructing the team. When you construct the team, you have the first stage. They call it the design. Design of a team is who is going to be on this team. So as a project manager, introduce team members and define their roles. That's called the design stage of a team. Introduce each one of you. Adam is awesome when it comes to CAD and Revit and all the stuff. Matt is awesome when it comes to takeoff. So that's why you guys are on this team, a design build team. Express confidence in members' ability to contribute. Outline the vision. That's at the design stage. So say, I trust that you guys will lead this project to success. Define the vision or the goal. What is our goal? Our goal is to take this hospital, electrically speaking, from nothing into a well-built hospital with happy customers, internally and externally, within budget, on time. That's our goal. And we'll all take pride of building that hospital or sport arena. Does it make sense? That's the goal that you need to do. Then you move into the foundations. That's a design. In the foundation, the manager input, facilitate team development of operational roles and guidelines. Now you're going to assign roles for people or members of your team. Guide goal settings, role defining activities, provide team skill training. So now you're getting into setting the goals for each one of these members of the team. And if Adam or Derek or Matt wants more training in certain area, we have to, as a project, remember, you're the project manager, so you are going to provide them. Then we move from the design foundation to natural disaster, they call it. Look at this, natural disaster. Here's what you're going to do: mediate and reinforce conflict resolution skills. When you have a team, guys, this is what you're looking at: conflict and stop productivity. When you have a team, at one point, you're going to have so-called natural disaster. People will have conflicts. Right? So here's what you're looking at on the board here. When you have a conflict, your job as a manager is mediate and reinforce conflict resolution skills. So you need to solve these conflicts between the members of that team. We're a human being. Model and foster constructive problem-solving approach. So help the people solve the problem in a constructive way. Persist to resolution. And relationship restoration. So that at one point, like I said, you're going to have a conflict. And the last thing you want to do, Derek, when you have a conflict, is stop the project. Conflict is stop productivity. What does the word stop mean? Stop means your project is off track. Your project is off track. People, Karen and Derek are fighting because he doesn't like the way she designs, Derek, and she doesn't like the way he estimates. You know what I mean? There will be conflict in the project. The conflict stop productivity. That, as a project manager, when you're a member of a team, that's how they look at it. You have a conflict, you're screwing up my project. So how are we going to solve the conflict? There's a difference between conflict and disagreement, guys. So a healthy disagreement fosters creativity when we disagree with each other and contribute to the good problem-solving skills. We can disagree with each other, but you don't want to elevate that disagreement into a conflict. Disagreement, like I said, if I disagree with you and I try to prove that my point is right, it tells me, guys, research things, because it's not enough to say, well, I'm right, right? In our industry, in any industry, guys, it's not enough to say I'm right. So you and I have a conflict over, I don't know, over code issue, right? You're designing and you have a conflict over, Adam said, no, you can't put this receptacle here. And Derek said, no, you can't. So how can you solve this problem? Well, you have to substantiate your opinion. How do you substantiate opinion? There is a Bible called the National Electric Code, huh? If we go to that National Electric Code and try to, for example, find something that supports my opinion, Adam, that will I have a chance of winning this argument in front of a project manager. Or if I don't have it in an NDC code book, guys, if I had 5, 6, 7 projects that we have done it this way, that might be industry standard or might be company standard. So you have to disagreement, like I said, health-free disagreement is okay, conflict is not. But negative relations, if that escalates to a negative relation, I don't like it. For example, that's negative relationship. That's very bad because it's going to stall your progress. Negative relationship, guys, stall your progress. And I can't, and I'm like you, Derek, you're a human being. We like people, we don't like people, whatever. But if you're working in a project, and if you're a member of this project, and if the project manager have decided that you are a member of this project, to make sure you don't get into the negative relationship that stall the progress of the project. And the project manager have to watch this, mediate it, find the right solution, stop the conflict before, remember, our goal, guys, to go from here to here, right? Now that conflict start pushing you in different direction. So the project manager is supposed to come here and kind of divert you every time you try to go to different direction, is to keep directing you into the right location, right? So here's my conflict going, it's going to take us this way, That's where you interfere as a project manager and pull the people in a nice way, in a conflict resolution way. We'll talk about conflict resolution later, guys, and bring us back into the track. The track is a successful project within budget, on time, happy customer, internally and externally. Done. Anything that could interfere with this is bad. Regardless if you are right or wrong or whatever, we need to solve it. Okay. Another thing, guys, when it comes to the conflict, trust and project success go hand in hand. Go together. Trust between the team members and the team member and the manager. If I trust that you're doing a good job, Derek, it's a big deal. I mean, I can, if I don't trust that you're doing a good job, that's a major problem. And you and I are working on the same project. We have to trust that all of us are qualified to do what we're doing, and trust your work. That doesn't mean trust and verify. When people trust, guys, doesn't mean your project manager is not going to verify. Trust and verify. A good project manager will trust you to do the work, but guess what they do? They will verify your work. And when they verify their work, they're not going to go down to the details. They verify the big picture. Remember, the big picture is, are we reaching our destination here? If we fluctuate up and down, doesn't matter. But are we heading to the weird direction with the minimum fluctuation? Minimum fluctuation. That's basically but building the trust. And there's a lot of ways of building the trust with people, guys. If in conflict resolution, if I know you guys don't get along, and I said, hey, how about if we go for dinner or lunch today? The company is taking you guys for all lunch. And a lot of companies do that, guys. They take people, the team member. I'm the project manager, and you work for me. I'll take you for lunch outside. We sit there and we chat and we talk about sports and what's not. And so you build that whole relationship. Moving him away from the project will build trust in the people. But be very, very careful, guys, with the conflict and the difference between conflict and disagreement. Disagreement is okay because we have different opinion, different background. Ultimately, we solve the problem. That disagreement, do not escalate the disagreement into a conflict. That will lead to a mistrust, and then that will lead to diversion from the goal, which is a successful project. Okay, so that's your natural. We talk about productivity. Fabrication, guys, we are really producing. Now we got rid of the conflict in our project, and now we're up and running on this team, Adam, and we call it fabrication. Manager, celebrate success. So now we're doing things, we're moving. Celebrate success is a big deal. When your project, when your team are producing, guys, doing good, they are within budget, on time, everything is cool, you have to celebrate that. Make sure that they know that you're happy with their performance. A lot of managers are not good at communicating. You're doing a great job, Derek. You have to tell people that they're doing a great job. And if they're not doing a great job, you tell them, what can I do to help you do a great job? Monitor progress. It's not enough trust, like I said, Matt. Trust is one thing. You have to have trust in your team members, but trust and verify. You hear that all the time with our government. That's why we have different branches of government. Trust and verify. I trust you, but I have to verify what you're doing. Um, Beware of happy campers. There are certain people that, guys, um, in your team, happy campers. They're happy for whatever you do, so you gotta be careful. Um, Ultimately, whatever you do have to lead into a successful project. So, and the last thing, guys, after everything is good, everything is running, you're verifying what you're doing, Adam. The last step will be inspection and sign off. Now we got the project. You're doing an estimating design build project, and we design it, we estimated it, it's out. We're supporting the project manager to run it, guys. Now, project manager, when it's done, define closure. Tell them when the project is over. That's easy for us. Project is over when we get paid and we do commissioning for the project, and the company got paid the last penny that they spend on it, and the customer is happy, so they're going to hire us next time, right? So communicate this. Tell them that really Allina hospitals are so excited for what Ellerbe Beckett or Michelle Cool-Erickson have done by that hospital, and they are happy, very happy, which means in the future when they build another hospital, guess whom are they going to come to engineer it or build it? So these are very, very important, guys. Happy customers coming back. Um, when I teach apprenticeship, I do apprenticeship, guys. We tell the apprentices when they go work for the customers, your job is to convince the customer to hire your company again. That's what your job is. Your job is not to sit there, jerk around and effing around and make troubles in somebody's house. So they say, we will never hire that company again to do our electrical work. Your job is to be very professional, very productive, very polite, very personable. So convince the customers, Matt, that they want to hire your company again. Am I making sense? You're competing, guys. You see how many engineering firms and contractor walked in here? All those guys are competing against each other. So imagine if you're a jerk contractor, do you think you're going to stay in business? So not for long. So define closure. So tell them that there's the closure, happy customers, within budget, on time, happy internal. We're all happy we didn't kill each other in the process of estimating and building this building. And the customer is happy enough to the point where they are we believe that they will hire us again. Again, you don't know definitely, but you believe, you build a relationship with them. They're very happy with your product that they will hire again. Um, they call it, guys, allow period for people to relax too after the project is done, especially these hard project, guys. Allow people to relax, give them time. A good project manager, we're done with a major project, major estimation. You probably guys heard it when we went to hunt. Take Monday off, go relax. Summer, beautiful, go with your family. Let people relax after a major project that you achieve, and you're within budget, on time. Don't you think, Derek, that would go a long way to allow you to take Monday off, a 3-day weekend, go with your family and do something? We did a great job, so celebrate. That's part of the celebration. And when you're done, you share the success with the people, guys, that work with your team. Is not yours. I am the leader of this team. When you guys succeed, it's not my success. It's your success and mine. If we fail, we equally fail. I tell the people, when you're in the team, guys, it's not just the team leader will fail. It's a failure of all of us. If we succeed together. If we fail together. If you take this philosophy, ownership of the project, as a member of the team, you will function properly, and as a manager, you will also have a very productive team. Gain loyalty. People will trust that you will be there for them if they make a mistake. If you're working in one of my teams and you make a mistake, and if you know I trust you and you trust me, you're not going to be scared, right? If you're scared of me as a project manager, my God, I mean, you're not going to be as productive. You're not going to take chances of being innovative and what's not. So you have to have a trust that lead into productivity and innovation. When everything is done, Adam, the last thing you want to do is facilitate transition to a new project team. Now we're done with this project. Now we're going to create another team or the same team. We're going to redefine a new role, and we're going to build another hospital or spirit arena. And we keep doing it over and over and over again. Isn't that what we do? We finish the project. Your job, guys, when you're doing electrical job, your job is to finish the project on time, within budget, blah, blah, and jump to another job and keep going it. Anybody has problem with this? This is called life. You guys are leaving Chad Kearney in what? Almost 2 weeks, and in a couple of 2 more months, another group of people will be here and will be repeating the same thing over and over again. That's called life. You finish a project, you roll into a different project. If you think that hospital that gave you grief for 2 years working on it, and now, oh my God, now I'm going to relax. Yeah, you give you enough time to relax. You roll into a different sport arena, and you keep doing it. Until you are, what, 67? For you guys will be 75 probably. And then you retire. Right, Derek? Is that... 60, what is your retirement age? 67 and a half or something like that? You keep doing it till you retire. Okay, so this is basically ultimately, this is a few things about the team member. I was talking to my son, he's in the 4th grade, about teams. I don't know what we were talking. You know what he said? Something, I don't know if you guys learned this in school. In their school, they said there is no I in the word team. I've never thought about it personally. Have you look at the word team? There is no I in the word team. I. So that's where they teach them. This is the 4th grader. They teach them to work together, and they say there is no I in the word team. It's not me. It's not I. It's us, right? So they define it by look at the word team. There is no I in the word team. That's it. We're all together. So team members go the same direction. All must buy in order to go in the same direction. Derek, remember, we're going from here to here. And can I pick on Matt? And Matt start taking us this way, right? And Karen start going the opposite direction here. And Adam start going this way, and Derek start going this way. And you are the project manager, right? Your job, remember the fluctuation. We can fluctuate within a certain area, right? But ultimately, we might have to kind of slowly, gently go into lining up down to here. You allow people to disagree a little bit, but ultimately make sure we're not fluctuating far enough from the goal. So buy in. You have to buy into the product. All must buy in and support the team. If they don't support the team, guys, if you're in a team that you don't like, if you're in a job you don't like, there's an issue. You know, you have to support the team. Either you're in the wrong location, wrong team, or you have to, and the team member have to change you or switch you or whatever. Or I hate to say, you might be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, this is industry is not yours or what's not. So hopefully when you guys are working, you're here because you like this industry, like we talked again. When you're on a project, you buy into it. This is my project, and I'm going to support the team, and there's no I in the team, in the word team. No place for individual agendas and lone wolves behavior. A lot of us, and they talk about the way how Americans were, because the American culture and a lot of culture, I grew up in the Middle East, the same thing. We're driven by individual achievement. A lot of us, right? I did this, right? This is the American dream. I did this. I bought my house. I bought my car, right? Isn't that? So it's hard when you're working on a project not to think this way of I. And all of us, it's not you. So, but in order to get a successful project, remember, looking at it from a project manager point of view, you're going to minimize the I and maximize the we. You're not going to eliminate the I, but your job is to minimize the I and maximize the we. Because if you're on the project and you want to get all the credit for the project, why do you think Matt is going to care? Think about it, or vice versa. You know, so you might have to spread the wealth. And that's what a good project manager will do, guys, is try to look at all these I's, mix them up, minimize them, and maximize the word we. We. Supposedly, I've never worked with like people in the East, and the East culture is they think more of we instead of I. I came from a culture like American culture. It's I. I did this one. I own this farm. I did farm. My dad is grandpa is a farmer. We planted this, competing with other farmer across the valley from them. You know, the whole individualistic things. When you're working on a team, keep in mind, minimize I, maximize we. That's your job as a project manager. And as an employee in a project, always, Derek, a good manager, don't do too much of I. Try to use the word we more often. We did this, we did that. Even though sometimes you get really disappointed because you almost did the whole I. The I did the whole work and then we got the credit, right? So, but people will notice, your project manager will notice that the I, a good project manager, guys, knows who works and who doesn't, how much work is done, right? A good project manager will notice that. And we have a lot in our like, construction industry, we have a lot of good project managers. We really do. They realize the go-getters, the achievers, and you will get your wing, you will earn your wings. But don't rush earning your wings by maximizing your I over the we. Um, Regular, positive, and open communication is very necessary, guys. When you disagree with somebody on a project, it's really nice. We're all professionals. Is maybe the best way to do it is to go to the individual outside, go for lunch, just go for lunch and chat about it, talk about it. You'll be surprised sometimes how silly things are that people disagree on. And if that doesn't work, of course, communicate. That has to be communicated to your supervisor. Both of you will state your disagreement, and then hopefully the supervisor, and you have to substantiate your opinion. Well, he didn't do nothing, all this project, right, Derek, and blah, blah, blah. And then the supervisor have to decide on the solution or the project manager. But the most important thing, guys, for you as a project manager is a teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. That's it. No, minimize I. I will never be eliminated. Minimize the I, maximize the we in the project. If you do that, you will have a lot of buy into the project, and you will most likely lead a productive project. As an employee, Derek, I always hated it when my project manager did not communicate with me. And there's a lot of project manager guys, and unfortunately, they lack communication. When it slows down, go to the people. When you become project manager, Matt, and slows down, go to the people that work for you and say, "Hey, I understand that your work is light. We're working on it. Here's what we're doing." You know, communicate what's going on. People like to know, right? People like to know what's going on in the organization or in the team. So that's basically, guys. That's basically a few things, guys, about team. Any comments? Any questions? Comments, questions about the team? Why is team is so important when we work in a design or construction or both, guys? You are working in a team. You know, you've seen, guys. We went when Shane showed us some of his project, the major project. He worked as an estimator on a team. You have a team, an estimator, a head of estimators, and the rest of them are working with us. Imagine if they don't get along, what's going to happen to the project? Um, so, so that's the most important thing. Maximize the I, maximize the we, minimize the I, and work as a team. Conflict is minimized. Disagreement is okay. So, any comments, guys? Any questions about forming a team? The goal of a team is to take you from point A to point B within budget, on time, with a happy internal and external customers. That's the goal. The goal of this book, as a matter of fact, is very simple: successful project. That's it. That's why we're all this monkeying around. Okay, I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. I want to switch a little bit, talk a little bit about diversity in a team. How are you going to build a diversified team, whatever diversity means? So, 5 minutes. If you want to go to the bathroom, Derek, that's your time. You'll go sneak. Thank you. About diversity, if you guys, we have gone to a lot of engineering firms, electrical contractors, Adam. We're the Midwest here, and you probably have noticed in the construction and engineering industry, our industry, Karen, tend to be mostly Caucasian males. You probably have seen that, right? mostly, right? In the construction, and there you go. So in the construction industry, Derek, and we talked like we've done a lot of tours, and you've seen a lot of people tend to be in the Midwest. He is mostly Caucasian males. So unlike these multicultural companies that we have, though it's so important, guys, things are changing. We have more females entering the industry. We have more people, different people are entering the industry. So diversity becomes a major, major thing. And by the way, also diversity doesn't mean, if you're all Caucasian male, doesn't mean you are completely homogenous. There's a whole lot of different, you've probably seen a whole lot of conflict can happen between any group of people. But this particular chapter, guys, talks about the diversity. So in our industry, guys, mostly, like I said, engineering and construction in the Midwest right here is Caucasian male. You'll be encountering Derek and Matt, a lot of people we have a lot of engineers from India. You probably have seen a lot of engineers coming from India, work in the high-tech companies. So if you go to companies, you'll see a lot of engineers work in the high-tech company come from India. So knowing about the background of the people is very, very important. And I'm like all of you guys, it starts at home. Respect to others. Others could be your sister when you're fighting with her, Derek, and you stole her candies, or your mom and dad, or your neighbors. So respect for others is a big deal, guys. We're all at a point right now where we can respect each other. That's the point where we start. So yes, our industry is not as much diversified, and there's a reason because we are, like I said, in the Midwest. But you will be dealing with people who are different than you. Um, and you will be dealing with people who are on your team, Derek, who are culturally different, religiously different, different background. So it's very important to know a few things about them. So there's a few, that chapter is really funny. It talks about a few things that you probably will see. Communication problems. We had in this class, guys, we had students from Africa and from other parts of the world who are English is not the first language, and I had a problems placing them in the industry because of communication skills. So if you're a project manager and you have somebody whose English is not the best, where would you fit that particular individual? He's a good designer, he or she. Maybe they sit in an office designing instead of going and meeting with the customers. So there's a room for all of us, I guess, Adam, in this world, and you can fit people in different locations. Um, there's country of origin, like your friend Chad, language, attitude towards Americans, and people speak different languages, different cultures. I myself speak two other languages, guys, you probably know. I always tell the people as a new immigrant, is a part of respect. Have you ever heard me speaking Arabic here? Have you? Part of the respect, what I tell the people, guys, when you're sitting now this respect goes both ways. If you're sitting in a company at Oliver Beckett designing, do you really want to hear Chad chatting for half an hour in Arabic or in Hebrew or in Germany, let alone, right? Right next to me, or in any language, chatting for half an hour. So part of the respect, it goes both ways, is when you speak another language and you are in a situation where other people don't speak it, it's it's really nice to keep your mouth shut in that language, especially when your employees are around, you don't speak it. Part of the respect, so respect goes both ways. So that's the things that dealing with people who are different. So if you have somebody in your team who speaks German and he keeps yakking in Germany with somebody else, it may be nice to go sit with them and tell them that part of the respect for others is, number one, is talking language where, especially when you're sitting in an environment where people can hear you at work, speaking language where everybody understands. So, and I know it's a sensitive issue, as I'm telling you as a new immigrant myself, it's really part of the respect to others, is to speak in language that everybody, especially at work, right? Public places, especially at work. So that's part of understanding the others and the others understanding you. So it goes, like I said, diversity goes both ways, guys. Understand that everybody have to understand each other. Different people act differently. My personal experience was with the Chinese. I have a lot of Chinese. The way the Chinese and Eastern people, the way they react is different than way I was raised up. So you have to learn a few things, guys, especially if you're working with a team, Mashad Kuli or anywhere else, guys. We're working in a team with people from different origin. Try to understand them, especially if you're a project manager, especially if you're a project manager. It makes your project more successful. Remember, our goal is not to make you very, very happy and the project fail. Our goal is a successful project and a team, a cohesive team. The more we understand about each other, the more we direct each other toward our goal, the more our project will be successful. That's the bottom line when it comes to this. Um, so that's basically multicultural team. You're gonna have, you guys will be. They suggest, Derek, in this book that you learn a few languages in other languages, in other few words in other languages, and greet the people. You'll be surprised, guys. Like I said, our industry is mostly Caucasian male. When I was at LB Beckett, we were doing design projects in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, and in a lot of parts of the world. America is a big country, and we have our existence all over. So you will be working with engineering firms that work all over the world, not just contractors in the country. So if you want to make it, especially at that level, it really, and they send you to a project, especially Mishad or somebody else, they're working in Saudi Arabia. A lot of Beckett right here, they were building buildings in Saudi Arabia. A lot of them are still. So you probably knowing, and you're a project manager and you want to be successful, wouldn't you think I need to know a few things about those people? If you're the project manager there, and you'll be surprised, guys, a lot of people did. So now when you're working with mostly Caucasian and Midwest, it's really not a whole lot of cultural diversity here. uh, there's a few things, guys, about the purpose. They're comparing the US to the Arab to the Japanese in this book. And there's different ways of setting the goals. You know, the Japanese tend to be we, more on the we. The Americans tend to be more in the I. The Arabs are somewhere in between. The Middle East people tend to be somewhere in between, a lot in the I too. So there's that, they're comparing all these cultures together and how you compare. One thing, Derek, I can tell you from growing up in the Middle East, if you go there and you might see Chad and Matt are friends and we're holding hands like this and walking in the street. What would you tell if I put my hand on his shoulder like this and walk down the street like this? What would your first impression would be? Oops, right? Chad is gay immediately, right? That's which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's the assumption they will get. But that's culturally acceptable to walk with your buddy and you put your arm around his head or hand in hand and walk in. Now, if you're working, now we don't care here, people don't act like this, but if you were to work as a project manager in part of the Middle East and you see people, the first impression is, my God, they're all gays, which is not, there's nothing wrong with it, don't misunderstand me, but that's your first assumption. Kissing on the cheeks. Do you kiss in the cheeks with your buddies? Oh my God. Well, a lot of people in the Middle East, including your friend Chad, grew up, you kiss your friend on the cheeks. I can't do it anymore after 20 years in the US. It's really hard. So you have to, I'm not saying you have to know all this, but knowing if you are to work with people from this culture and you see them doing this, maybe you have to, and you're a project manager, a successful project manager. You want to be a successful project manager. A few things go a long way. Different cultures. That's a culture that I'm familiar with. I'm sure the Chinese have their own different ways. I'm sure people in Europe have different ways of doing things slightly. Typically, they're like us here. So there's a few things that you have to know that maybe facilitate communicating with people. So that's so respect, guys. A major things. Bottom line, we're all came. I personally said that respect goes a long way. Cultural respect, or gender respect, Adam, or different part. Cities versus the countryside. You have somebody in the countryside. I used to with LB Beckett, and a guy looks like a cowboy walking in an engineering firm. So cultural respect goes a long way. Certain assumptions, distances. They talk about, guys, the personal space, and they're having an image here. Person in the U.S. Do you guys know that your personal space is a 3 foot around you? So when you and I talk, our personal space have to be 3 feet. So I can't get within 3 feet of you. That's clearances. I think that's how they took the clearances in front of the electrical equipment, probably. If you are in the Middle East, they cut it by half. God, right there, a foot and a half. I don't know where they got these, but if you're Japanese, have you noticed that, Derek? They need more, 5 feet. Their personal space is 5 feet. I don't know if that's true or all the culture is the same. So they need more space. Stay away from me. Don't touch me. You know what I mean? Kind of. They don't shake hands a lot. You know, they have their own salute, not a whole lot of shaking hands and hugs and kisses and what's not. So these are knowing you have somebody from Japanese culture working for you, or you are working for a customer who's from Japan. It's not just working with guys. You could be working for, working with, working, you know. So the relationship could go. So knowing a few things about them will make you a successful project manager. That's what you want, right? Ultimately, your goal um, is to have a successful project. So knowing a few things about different things that help you. Be successful goes a long way. There's a lot of things, guys, when it comes to the diversity too. There's a lot of laws and regulations that you have to adhere to, and quotas for minorities and what's not. So when you're a project manager, if you don't believe in it or whatever, which a lot of us do, you have to meet laws and regulations. You know, there's minority work and what's not. The first thing, Derek, when you become a project manager, you need to know this politics. You play within the rules and regulations that we have in the U.S. And that's involved diversity. You're going to hire people, and I personally believe that we should hire the people based on their merits. That's my personal belief. But if you are to hire somebody who has not less merits, your job would be a little bit less qualified is to make him qualified. We're all qualified, guys, because somebody made us qualified. I became an engineer because somebody invested time in me. So if you have somebody who will have less skills, your job now is to give him more skills, send him back to school, give him more training as a company. Regardless, male, female, Caucasian, non-Caucasian, anybody, that's your job as a project manager. Um, so that's a few things, guys, about diversity. Um, like I said, potential issues in diverse work team, respect. Regardless of what you think of you, Derek, and your culture, I have to respect you, right? I think we came to a conclusion in the 21st century is that we respect. I might disagree and agree with the way you conduct yourself, um, or whatever I disagree with, but I have full respect to all human beings. I think a lot of us guys are, and if you don't share this opinion, you might have to keep it to yourself. um, conflict, you know, conflict can arise, guys, between anybody. It's just conflict. I always tell, you know, being a new immigrant, I always tell conflict it tends to be juicier if there's some diversity involved in it. A male and a female, you know, you and your wife, juicier conflict between you and your brother, or you and another guy, you know. So if there's a cultural or religion or something in a conflict, it tends to be juicier, more interesting. So be aware of that one, guys. Ultimately, I'm a firm believer that we're all human beings. We have our mistakes and what's not, but be aware that it elevates the situation if the conflict involves a diversity. It really does in a lot of situations. So be aware of it as a project manager. You have to be aware of it. As an employee, you have to be aware of it. Um, we talked about personal space, guys, giving people personal space, work ethics. Um, I don't know. You know, Adam, we have project managers go down to the southern part of the United States and they talk about different work ethics. You know what I mean? We in the Midwest here, I don't know, rightfully, I've never been outside the Midwest here. We're well known as have a very good work ethics. We show up in the morning, we do what we're supposed to do. You might go to other parts of the country or the world where, you know, they're slowed down a little bit. They take their time. So you have to kind of, you know, when we talked about Parsons, remember when they go down to the southern place, they take a project manager with them, guys, a foreman. They try to make the key workers to produce within the circumstances. They take certain group of people with them, number one, and they bid the project differently based on the, you know, the culture that's going on. The same thing when you're working in different cultures, Derek. You know, if it's, and I hate to say it, certain places in the Middle East, if it starts at 8 o'clock and they show up at 8:30, it might not be bad. You know, you have to work within the circumstances. I'm not saying it's right. Things are changing. We're becoming a global society, guys. We're all learning from each other. But certain cultures might showing up half an hour late to work is not bad. You know, it's better than not showing up altogether. So, but you have to be aware of it anyway. I'm not saying agreeing with it. So you might have to work with somebody shows up half an hour every day late to your work, Derek. You might have to remind him that we are in America, you know, in a nice way, and this is how it works. So give them the benefit. Maybe they don't know, especially from a different culture. I think a lot of people do, guys. They understand right now, but be aware of that one. Work ethic, speed of business like this, the way you work and what's not. Um, So, and the other thing, guys, that we talked about for, you know, affirmative action and all of this other stuff, you are, as a project manager, will be at one time required to hire certain people with certain criteria to meet certain criteria. So you have to, your job is to hire the best out of this group of people if you're in this situation. Retain them, guys, give them, make everybody feel welcome. And a lot of these companies, guys, are the same. I dealt with a lot of people, Derek, in this construction boat. They gauge you based on your merits. Do you produce or you don't? It doesn't matter who you are, male, female, black, white, green, in between. Ultimately, keep in mind, guys, that is the criteria that you have to gauge everybody. So if you have somebody who work in your team, Chinese or Japanese or Caucasian or female or male, whatever, your ultimate goal of measuring them as your productivity, right? That's it. So if they're not producing, they're not producing. They have to treat them like everybody else. That's the best way to do it. The good thing for everybody. So we talked about racial and sexual harassment, guys. That's a lot of things in this day in the past, guys. It used to be differently. Now in this day and age, Adam, when you're a project manager and you have a female working for you, you can't just go sit there and effing or have in a work environment. I'm sure they tell you guys, you can't have things that could be offensive for from a gender point of view or from a racial point of view or from a cultural point of view. It's unacceptable, you know. And if it's not because ethically is unacceptable, Derek, it's legally unacceptable. You could be sued. Do you want your company to be sued because you treated certain group of people differently and they can prove it? Do you really want to, if you don't believe it ethically? So be aware as a project manager that if you don't ethically believe in the thing, legally you have to, you know, because nobody wants, ultimately remember, we're in the business of making money, right? Don't forget, we're not sharing and carrying hands. So anything that interfere that business, that successful project, we have to minimize it, tune it down. Make sense? So keep this in mind. Racial and sexual harassment, no, it's not the law. It's ethically unacceptable, legally unacceptable, money-wise unacceptable, business-wise unacceptable. And I'm sure you guys agree with me. And if you don't, you just keep quiet, will you? um, um, Assessment, awareness training, advantage of alternative use. Um, there's awareness training, guys. A lot of people, you know, I don't know if you remember Gary, Adam. We had a gentleman, a Muslim gentleman, one time in the classroom, and Gary saw him praying in the back of the room. And he came to me and he said, Chad, I think he's stealing something because he's kneeling under the bench. So the guy was praying, and Gary came to talk to that student, one of the students, talk to him, and he didn't respond because when you're praying as a Muslim, you're not supposed to respond until you're finished with your praying. He was at the end of the lab praying, and there's some tools there. He thought he's kneeling to steal certain things. So look at that, and then Gary was a very nice guy, well diversified, understand, but he really didn't understand. So we brought the student, and he explained to Gary that, well, he was praying. You know, and then when he understood, look at that culture, training. People need training. I don't know what your culture is. I don't know how you behave. So if you're a project manager, guys, you need to train people, especially if you have diversity in your and a lot of companies do, guys. They'll do a lot of training. If you go to work, a lot of companies like Mashad, if they're to work in the Middle East, guys, the first thing they do, the team who's going to go there, they do diversity training for them. How do you deal with those people? You go to Japan, the same thing. You bring experts to train you, and how do you deal with this group of people to be a successful project manager? Um, so that's very, very important. Training is a very important view for the success of your project. And believe it or not, guys, I know a lot of us, a lot of us might like to live and work in an environment that's very similar to us, right? Maybe go to the same church that we go to, look like us, act like us. And a lot of us grew up in a situation like this, including myself. But you'll be surprised how much you're missing when you miss on some of the other views. Derek, you lived in a lot of places, right? So you probably have seen even south, north in the US, east, west. You'll be surprised how much enriched you will be when you bring a different group of people in your company or your life or what's not. So you might be missing on something exciting versus other companies there. And brain-wise, I mean, there's a lot of brain-wise guys in everywhere. So the diversity might be an advantage in your company, not just a brain-wise advantage for your company, especially if you want to go global, and especially if you want to go national as a company. It's a great advantage. Um, so that's what I want to talk, guys, about diversity. I don't know if we have anything here. So it talks about look for similarities, become familiar with other cultures, learn some words of greeting. So you have to start greeting me in Arabic now, Derek. Languages of non-native team members, help your team get past differences. Um, so these, as a project manager, like I said, not in the US, I'm a firm believer. If you're in the US, the common denominator between all of us is English. Done. I mean, really, doesn't mean that you don't communicate. As a project manager, guys, you respect others. If you try, you communicate with Spanish or whatever, I will communicate with you. But the common denominator that all of us understand, you speak German, I speak Arabic, we put it aside and we speak it English, right? That's a common denominator for this country. Everybody understand that one. We try to help the people who don't understand it reach it, right? Because that's our common denominator. As a project manager, it goes a long way if you greet certain people with their own language. Now you don't have to, but it goes a long way for this group of people. So that's the nice thing, guys, about project manager. You go outside. I think you're trying to be more inclusive by saying a few words in Japanese or whatever. If you are working with a group of people from Japan or what's not. Uh, Help your team get past differences, guys. You don't want to have diversity as an obstacle in the progress of your team. That's it. If you have somebody who does not work good with female or African Americans or whatever you want to call them, or Indians or whatever, um, have prejudices or whatever you want to call it, you have to train them. Or all good people, guys. Ultimately, every human being is a good human being. I'm a firm believer. So you need to train them, explain to them why we're doing what we're doing, and if it's not, like I said, ethically right, it's legally and business-wise, it's the right things to do. So, any comments, guys? Any questions about diversity? And like I said, I'm the last person to teach you guys diversity here, coming from an engineer. Um, Okay. Any comments, any questions? So ultimately, I always keep guys going to the point. I always keep going to my point, where we are and where we're heading. Everything that you do fluctuates you. Diversity will affect you, and ultimately you will take back. You want to reach your destination, make money for your company, finish a project on time, within budget, happy customers, and happy internal employees. That's it. All this diversity and all this team building and all this stuff will help you minimize this fluctuation. See all this fluctuation? Minimize that fluctuation, make your fluctuation, because fluctuation means here's a good move towards your goal, and here's another move towards your goal. Look at that. These are all going towards your goal, right? Now, look at the fluctuation away from the goal. Your goal from diversity, team building, training, you name it, is to minimize the fluctuation as you go towards your goal. That's it. That's the whole chapter, basically, the whole book. And all these are tools, Adam, to deal with different people, different things, and ultimately you need to reach your destination with the minimum fluctuation, because fluctuation means you lose time and money. Any comments, ladies and gentlemen? Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? So I encourage you guys to buy this little book here. So tomorrow we'll talk a little bit, guys, about setting goals and securing commitment for your team. How do you set a goal? and secure commitment for your project. Ultimately, remember, successful project, that's what our ultimate goal. A failure project don't exist. Failure is not an option. And if you don't have a plan, remember how when we're doing estimating, if you don't have a plan, you don't know if you fail or succeed. And if you know, it's too late to correct it. That's why we have the plan and we monitor the fluctuation to see where we are, keep adjusting until we reach our destination safe. And the destination, building a hospital, building a sport arena, building any type of building that we're in it, we're electrical construction. So any comments, ladies and gentlemen? Any questions? Comments, questions? Okay, so that's part of the project management initiative that we do, guys, at the end of the design. So what I'm going to do today, I hope you guys, we have enough time to finish the project. Please, I cannot emphasize the word please enough. Continue, guys, taking off your power lighting low voltage system. I want to talk to my friend Matt here about a few things here in the back. So, all right, thank you.